Hello and welcome to the third episode of a series of tutorials where I will be teaching you how you can build your very own server using Python. More specifically, we will be using the Flask module, and Flask is the key one here which we'll be delving into throughout all of these episodes. In the previous two episodes we have covered across some of the sort of more basic aspects of creating your own server and ran a few functions and also rendered a page using some HTML. And in this episode we're going to talk about HTTP methods, and we're going to start by using forms. Being a bit generous with the word form here, it's literally just two input boxes and two submit buttons, but we've called it form nevertheless. What I've got here is some code in front of you and a couple of links we're going to look at first, and what I will do is I will talk with you through it line by line and go through it in detail, explaining each line as we go along. So let's get started. The first link is a really great one, I definitely recommend. It's from W3 Schools, and it outlines at a very high level what HTTP requests are, especially on this page, and it goes in talk about sort of all the different HTTP methods there are and sort of what they do. I will post all the links in the description below, but essentially for this series we will be focusing on the GET and POST HTTP methods. So just to let you know, the GET method is used to request data from a specified source, and it's also the method that is responsible for making your URL longer, and that's why there is a limitation of I think over 2,000 characters for the GET method. Other characteristics of method are shown here below. For example, they can be cached and they remain in the browser history, and they're only used to request data, not modify it, which is a very one to take into account. It's a big factor to take into account. The POST method is used to send data to a server, so you may not necessarily see a change on the page, but don't worry, there is definitely some stuff happening in the background with the POST method. One thing to make you aware of with the POST method is a POST method, or a method, definitely has to be called, such as the POST method, when working with forms. Otherwise it will default to a GET method in Flask and it won't work necessarily as you intend it to. But we will see that in the example we're coming up to. The next link I am showing you is it's from mozilla.org. It's a bit more technical, it goes into a bit more technical detail, but it's also a very useful page to take a look at, and I will also be posting a link to this in the description below. So please do take a look at those resources. There's tons of resources on HTTP request methods online, but these are just two that I've found that I sort of like myself. I just want to pause right there just to say that please do subscribe to my channel and do follow me on Twitch, on YouTube as well, and take a look out for me on TikTok and other channels in the future. And take a break, because I've spoken a lot now for a couple of minutes and I want you to just have everything sink in. I know I keep the video short so that I don't give you too much information, but even that can be a lot of information within the sort of 10 or 15 minute episodes that I shoot my videos on. So let's get on to the code, and I'll talk with you through line by line. So since the last code, what's changed is instead of having Flask and render template, we've also added the request part of the module as well. So we're bringing that in as well. And as you can see, as a highlight request, it's being called in a function that we've created that I'll talk through next. Nothing much has changed at all. It's still the same, app equals Flask name and with the template folder specified. But something has changed in the template folder, where we now have a new HTML piece of script. Before we had basic HTML, which sort of showed sort of first heading and first paragraph. This one shows an input box, a submit button, a text area box, and another submit button. And notice here that in the text area and submit buttons, I've put this under the form sort of container with the method of post, and that's very important there. So what I can do and what I will do is show you the difference between get and post with two input boxes and submit buttons. So that will be this form 1 will be rendered instead of the basic HTML. So now on to the next line of code. So here, app root, what we've done is we've added methods equal get and post. So what that means now is we've limited not only to this page or home page, we've now limited it further to the methods of get and post. So if we call a put option or an update option or a delete option or any other sort of methods, it won't run, even if it's on the home page, it won't run this function. So what is this function? So we've done away with the hello world now, and there's 369, and we're on to something a bit more sort of meaty. So this function is called form testing, because that's exactly what we're going to be doing. And what we've got in the form testing function is we've got if request, calling the request import, dot method equals get, i.e. if it's a get request, then we're going to print the values request is a get, and we're going to render the form or the template here form1 HTML, referring to the form1 HTML document in our template folder. If the request method is a post, then we're going to get the values in the text area, we're going to post or print request is a post, and then we're also going to print the text as well, and then also we're going to render the template form1 HTML. So now that we've talked through it, let's run it and see what we get. So if we do this, we press play, and we go to that page, and then we can now see here we have our input field, submit, and then we have our text area and then another submit button. So the top two are get requests, and the bottom two items are a post request. So let's just type in here analystrising. We press the top submit button, you will see that the value of input field has gone somewhere. And where has it gone? It's gone into the URL as a parameter. So anything in the URL with a question mark after it is a start of a parameter. And notice here we've got the value of input1, which input1, you don't see it here, but that is the name of the text box in the HTML. It's called input1 here, as you see, and so that value has been passed as a parameter here in the URL along with the value. So input1 equals analystrising. So now let's go to the bottom one, the post requests. So let's put subscribe to my channel, and then we're going to press submit. Notice seemingly nothing happened. The values disappeared. Where did they go? And I'll show you. So they went in the back end to be stored and have something done with it. But what we've done here is we've printed it out so we can see it, what's happening. And as you can see here, the value here, subscribe to my channel, is being posted here. So we've got that value from the input box and we've taken it, and theoretically now we can do whatever we want with it. We've chosen to print it here to show you in a very easy way where it's gone. Notice here we've got request as a post as well and request as a get. And we've also got here as the HTTP methods in the lines post and get, as well as the URL of input1 with the parameter of input1 analystrising. Also notice at the end we have 200 as our HTTP response, which we will go into in another episode. So that is it, a very high level view of get and post requests. Get and post are the main ones that are used on majority of websites. But just think, in this one function, you have so many different sort of HTTP methods you can call, and hopefully by now you're getting the idea of just how much work goes into creating these servers and these websites. And we're not even talking about HTML or CSS or complex HTML or CSS. This is just in sort of its base, in its sort of functionality. This is one function, one page, almost like one small form on one page. Imagine if you had other forms, videos playing, buttons and things like that. Each one of those could be multiple HTTP methods that can be called to increase to improve the user experience. So that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episodes where we're going to be going into a lot more detail and covering other areas of creating and building your own server. So thanks very much. Please do subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next episode.